speaker spotlight from National Public Relations. We have Martin Deriche and Chantal Benoit, and from Speaker Spotlight we have Martin Perlmutter. The witnesses have 7 minutes. Mr. Deriche, are you doing the entire 7 minutes yourself, or are you splitting them with Madame Benoit?
Bonjour, Monsieur le Président.
Hello. We will be sharing the 7 minutes, Mr. Clerk.
The first one up, Mr. Deriche, go ahead. You have 7 minutes between yourself and your colleague.
Monsieur le Président.
Mr. Chair, Madam Clerk, ladies and gentlemen parliamentarians, for the last 12 years I've been very proud to be working at National Public Relations, whose headquarters is situated in Montreal. It's as president of National that I am here before you today. With me, my colleague Chantal Benoit, Director of Consumer Relations in our office.
Monsieur Deriche, Mr. Barrett.
Yeah, I'm not hearing any translation on the English channel, and just wanted to be able to hear Mr. Deriche's statement.
Okay, Mr. Deriche, you can begin. Make sure that the translation is coming through. Please go ahead.
Oh, thank you, Mr. Chair. For the last 12 years, I'm very proud to work at National Public Relations. The headquarters is in Montreal. It's as president of National that I am here today. With me, my colleague Chantal Benoit, who is Director of Consumer Relations at our office in Montreal, and who's manager of the mandate that we have with We Charity. Allow me to say a few words about our company and about our profession before Chantal gives you an overview of the mandate we have with the We Charity. Today, National has 9 offices across Canada, from one ocean to the other, from coast to coast. Our quest is for excellence, and we want to help our clients succeed, and this guides us in the execution of each mandate. And each of our 300 professionals in Canada have the values of quality, commitment, innovation, collaboration, integrity, responsibility, and respect. Every year, more than 1,000 organizations in Canada give us a mandate. There are small businesses and large businesses. There are also nonprofit organizations, professional associations, public companies, as well as other associations, all types of organizations. Some mandates are simple, others are much more demanding. Some are very small organizations, and others are much larger. Our sphere of activity is very broad, and this shows our capacity to go ahead with complex mandates, whether it's social acceptability, public affairs, corporate communication, financial communication, digital communication, stakeholder relations, consumer relations, or media relations. And there are many more. By choosing to ally oneself with National, it means that you'll be working with professionals who are involved in society, within communities, with our clients, such as We Charity, entrust us with their mandate, and they know that we're a solid partner, and they know that we have expertise, and they know we're committed. The mandate of We Charity is no different from other types of clients that we have. In a world where the communications have multiplied and there's such a flow of information, it's exponential. So we are able to help people to better manage their projects, to organize themselves, and establish a dialogue with their target public. Our clients also come to us as was the case for We Charity, because of our ingenuity, our efficiency, and our capacity to deploy quickly with a huge volume of work in very short order. If the We Charity came to us to help them, it's because we have the experience, the competence to be able to move ahead with such a demanding mandate. It's an employee of the We Charity who approached us for the first time, who approached a colleague in our Toronto office through LinkedIn on the 15th of May. She asked for a meeting to explain the project and to start discussions so that we would be able to prepare a service offering, which took several days because of the complexity and the size of the project. The Cabinet gave their approval to the program on the 22nd of May, and we started working on the mandate on the 25th of May. At no point, either directly or indirectly, were we involved in the negotiation of the contract between We Charity and the federal government. Also, we have never been in contact either with elected officials or with government officials in order to facilitate the obtaining of the contract by We Charity. We never did any lobbying for We Charity at any point in time. My colleague Chantal Benoit will now give you an idea of the mandate that we received from the We Charity. Thank you, Martin. Mr. Chairman, Madam the Clerk, and ladies and gentlemen parliamentarians.
It was for communications. Our mandate was not to manage the Canada Student Service Grant Program in Quebec, nor to act on behalf of We Charity as an intermediary between them and the federal government. Our role was to provide communication support to We to raise awareness for the grant program among nonprofit organizations, students, and other stakeholders in Quebec and in Francophone communities outside of Quebec. The objective was to help as many nonprofits and students as possible get through the COVID-19 pandemic during the summer. Pour aider le plus de gens possible.
To help the most people possible as well, and for the students and nonprofit organizations registered, they had to be aware of the program, and that was the work that we were to do, to make the Canada Student Service Grant known with respect for those who were interested in the program. Our mandate was the development of French content, media operations, and the writing of content for social media. As of the first meetings, it was very clear that this was a very big, ambitious project and that we had only 1 month, a very tight schedule. Our work on this mandate started on the 25th of May and ended on the 3rd of July 2020, when the program was transferred from We Charity to the federal government.
Support We Charity for its communications to its awareness for the program. Merci de votre attention.
Thank you for your attention. Martin will now be able to answer your questions to the best of our knowledge.
Martin will now take the lead to answer your questions to the best of our abilities. Thank you.
Merci beaucoup, Madame Benoit.
Thank you very much, Madame Benoit.
Perlmutter now for his opening remarks. But first, I just want to check. Madame Latanzio, can you hear me okay?
Yes, I can.
Okay, thank you very much. We didn't have a chance to get a sound check from my colleague, so I wanted to make sure she was okay.
Sorry about that. I had trouble issuing in, Mr. Chair, this morning.
No requirement for an apology. Mr. Perlmutter, go ahead for 7 minutes, please.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. My name is Martin Perlmutter, and I'm the president and co-founder of Speaker Spotlight. 25 years ago, my wife Farah and I got married, quit our jobs, and started a business together out of a spare bedroom in our apartment. We had no speakers, no clients, no industry contacts or experience, and in fact, we had virtually no business experience of any kind. But we believed that if we built our business on a foundation of trust and integrity, then the strength of our relationships with clients and speakers would ultimately determine our company's success. Over the past 25 years, thanks to a tremendous amount of hard work, some good luck, and the kindness of many people along the way, we've built a company we're extremely proud of. We're still a small business and today have a team of 27 of the most dedicated, hardworking, and caring people I've ever known. We're honored to represent many of the country's leading thinkers, inspiring individuals, and outstanding speakers. Our speakers' experience is as broad as it is deep, and they are all leaders in their respective fields, which include business, politics, sports, media, academia, science, technology, culture, and entertainment. We book these individuals to speak on various topics from leadership and management to strategy and culture to disruption and innovation, marketing and branding, diversity and inclusion, health and wellness, inspiration, and more. Our clients represent a cross-section of leading corporations, associations, government agencies, colleges and universities, charities, healthcare organizations, school boards, and educational institutions. Our expertise is connecting the right talent with an organization and managing the logistical arrangements so everything runs smoothly. A few of our speakers include astronaut Chris Hadfield, Olympian and mental health advocate Clara Hughes, technology entrepreneur Michelle Romano, and CFL icon and humanitarian Michael Pinball Clemens, to name just a few. 9 months ago, when COVID-19 hit, like for so many people and so many businesses, our world changed practically overnight. Our industry, the events industry, along with restaurants and bars and the travel and tourism industries, has been hit particularly hard. In just a few days in mid-March, we saw hundreds of speaking engagements, which were to take place over the next 3 months, normally one of our busiest times of the year, wiped off the calendar. When the dust settled, it became clear that not only spring events were canceled, but we likely wouldn't see any in-person conferences or events for the remainder of the year and beyond. So in the middle of a pandemic, with everyone working from home, we had to completely reimagine and reinvent our business on the fly. And that's what we did. We pivoted to offering virtual speaking engagements to our clients. Needless to say, it was tough going as very few clients were familiar with virtual platforms, and as a result, our business was down significantly. But of course, this is not just our story. This is the story of so many small businesses in Canada and throughout the world. This brings us to the summer when we received and responded to an order from the Ethics Committee to provide records pertaining to a wide range of speaking engagements dating back to 2008. Before I speak to our experience with the committee, I think it is important to make it clear that we have no knowledge pertaining to the operations of We Charity, the Liberal government, or the Canada Student Service Grant Program. Like most Canadians, the first time we heard about the program was in late June or early July when we read about it in media reports. I'd also like to make it clear that neither our company, Speaker Spotlight, nor my wife, Farah, or I personally have any political affiliation. We have never actively been involved with any political organization, and I don't think we've ever even donated to a political party or campaign. In fact, if you look at our roster of political speakers, you'll see we work with people from across the political spectrum, including Ronna Ambrose, Preston Manning, John Baird, and Ambassador Bruce Heyman, to name just a few. Given the scope of the request and the fact that we were given less than 3 business days to provide records dating back 12 years while our entire team was working from home due to the COVID-19 pandemic, it was impossible for us to meet the timelines of the committee. Consequently, we asked for an extension to address the order, which was granted to us. Prior to the new deadline, we were contacted by the clerk of the committee and told not to submit a response due to the prorogation of Parliament. In mid-October, we were once again contacted by the clerk of the committee, and once again, we promptly responded to the clerk's communication and let her know that we would cooperate when called upon. On November 17th, we received an extract from the minutes of proceedings of this committee containing an order for the production of documents. We complied and produced the documents on November 23rd. And yet, we've been the subject of many ridiculous claims and false accusations, which I won't dignify by repeating here. On behalf of my staff, however, I must bring up the fact that for the past 3 months, our company has been the subject of harassment, including personal threats to ourselves and our staff. We have also been the target of a campaign designed to discredit us personally and cause reputational damage to our company. This is all outlined in my November 12th letter to you, Mr. Chairman, which I understand has been distributed to all members of this committee. These events have transpired despite the fact that we have treated this matter extremely seriously and at all times responded to and communicated with the committee following its requests and instructions. We're private citizens and a private company who have been needlessly dragged into the middle of this political firestorm and find ourselves caught in the crossfire. Finally, I wish to remind members of the committee that as holders of public office in these increasingly divisive times, your words and actions have consequences, and that private citizens should not be used as tools to further political ambitions or agendas. I now welcome your questions related to the files, which are the subject of this order.
Thank you very much to the witnesses for their opening remarks, and we'll now go to Mr. Barrett.
Well, good morning, and thank you to the witnesses for joining us this morning. Mr. Perlmutter, in your August 31st letter to me, you stated that you're unable to disclose client information outside the order of a committee, and I appreciate that. Did you inquire with clients Margaret or Alexandre Trudeau to request their permission to share information about their speaking engagements outside of an order from committee?
Yes, I did.
And so with that said, are you able to confirm if Miss Margaret Trudeau was paid to speak at the July 2nd, 2017 Canada Day event in Ottawa?
My understanding is that I'm here to discuss the speaking engagements of Justin Trudeau and Sophie Gregoire Trudeau from, I think, October 2008 to current.
Okay, so you're unable to disclose the information.
Just a moment, Mr. Barrett. Mr. Perlmutter, you do have an obligation before a parliamentary committee to answer a question that's put to you and answer it accurately. Go ahead, Mr. Barrett.
So I'll just ask if the witness is able to confirm if there were fees paid for that event.
Can you repeat the date of the event?
The July 2nd, 2017 Canada Day event in Ottawa.
No, that was not an event that we had organized.
Okay. Are you having had that conversation with those two individuals? Are you able to?
Point of order, Chair. Point of order, Chair. I'm sorry to apologize to Mr. Barrett. I don't mean to disrupt you or interrupt you. Chair, is this question? Does this question fall under the scope of this motion? Because I think we had a long debate on whether or not information pertaining to Madame Margaret Trudeau and Alexandre Trudeau shall be included in the motion. I believe that there was a decision on that by this committee. So I'm just wondering if this falls under the scope of the motion. Thank you, Chair.
Yeah, it doesn't fall directly under the scope of the motion, but it also is not excluded by the motion either. Mr. Dong and members have quite a wide freedom in order to ask questions, and so that's the way that the book says, as well as the way we've governed the committee so far. And so Mr. Barrett is able to ask those questions and should get an answer as well. I stopped the time there for the point of order. Go ahead, Mr. Barrett.
Yeah. So and if the witness is able to answer, I look forward to the answer. And if he's unable for legal or other reasons, then and he states as much, that would be appreciated. So so sir, having had those conversations with those two individuals, are you able to disclose today publicly any other information with respect to speaking engagements by Mr. Alexandre Trudeau or Madame Margaret Trudeau?
No, I'm not able to disclose any other information.
All right. Thank you very much. And Chair, I'd like Mr. Berthold to have the balance of my time.
Okay, go ahead, Mr. Berthold.
Merci beaucoup, Monsieur le Président.
Thank you, Mr. Chair, and thank you for coming before the committee. The Kilburger were to go ahead with the WE as a WE charity because they were able to communicate from coast to coast. And the 15th of May, they worked with National, and you say that your work was only to work with Francophones? Yes, it was for connecting with students and nonprofit organizations in Quebec and elsewhere in Canada where there were Francophone communities. I would like to say that, yes, our mandate was one of communication, the management and the responsibility of the programs. I'm sorry, I don't have much time, Mr. Dash. I must interrupt you. It was very clear in your remarks. In the analysis of the contract, it's clear that Treasury Board is not going to subject the organization to linguistic analysis. But between the 15th and the 22nd of May, was there much communication between National and the We Charity organization to be able to define your mandate? What was the extent of the mandate? And over what period of time did it go? I'm sorry, things cut out a little bit. I understand that you're looking at what communications happened between the 15th and 22nd of May. Well, I would like to know, they communicated with you through LinkedIn, which is, first of all, quite surprising. And secondly, on the 22nd of May, the project was accepted. The cabinet gave their approval. So between the 15th and the 22nd of May, what proposals did you give to WE organization, and how were you able to go ahead with delivering on the mandate in Quebec? And I'd like you to confirm, did that in that period, were you able to work with other francophones? I would like to answer. I'd like to confirm yet the first contacts between We Charity and our office was done through LinkedIn on the 15th of May, and then on the following days, we were able to establish a service offering, and that defined the support that we would be able to offer to be able to get get out information, and to be able to let people know, whether it was students or the nonprofits, about the question. So they recognize that you had the capacity to communicate with the Francophone clientele. Can you tell me what was the impact of the loss of the contract for National? Did you have losses? You said that this was a big size of this contract. What type of losses did you have? Well, there were two elements in your question. The first point is the capacity for deployment. So it's clear that our organization had the capacity, but I can tell you that the challenge within that mandate was to be able to deploy our efforts over a very short period. So we had a very short period between the end of May and June, before the summer, to be able to come into contact with the most nonprofits, and also to be able to let students know about the program. So this deployment capacity to be able to inform the most organizations as well as the students, this was our capacity. In terms of the losses, I'd like you to say, well, what you mean, because once our mandate stopped, well, our work stopped. So no, there weren't any losses for us under those circumstances. So I hope I've answered your question. So you didn't hire any extra personnel?
Colleagues, now move on to Madam Shanahan for 6 minutes.
Thank you very much, Chair. And first of all, I'd like to say to the witnesses, thank you very much for appearing before us here this morning. And if my colleagues won't do it, I will do it. I will apologize on behalf of those of us on this side for the distress that I'm speaking to Mr. Perlmutter now, for the distress that your employees, your company have experienced as a result of the actions of certain colleagues on this committee. And I understand that we as parliamentarians, we sit in a very privileged position, and we have the bully pulpit and so on. But to be casting those kinds of aspersions, and putting people at risk. I do apologize, certainly for this side of the committee. Et je remercie aussi les gens.
I would also like to thank the representatives from National that are here for the work that you do. This is honorable work that you do. And I'm very curious to learn a lot more about how you work.
I find it curious that members of this committee were very keen to have these witnesses here, but we only have an hour to ask questions, and I do invite the witnesses that if they have any other if they want to follow up in writing with more detailed answers to any of the questions that we ask here today, to please do so. So my first question, in fact, Mr. Perlmutter has already referred to this, but indeed, can you tell me, have you ever been a member of the Liberal Party in any way, shape, or form? Because I'm making an allusion here, Chair, to the McCarthy era, where many innocent people were dragged in front of committees and aspersions were made. Mr. Perlmutter, can you tell me, to your knowledge, if you or your company has in any way acted in an improper manner?
No, we have not. I've never been a member of any political party.
Thank you very much for that. And again, the opposition, in their zeal to tarnish anyone or any company that is even remotely connected to the Liberals, as we witnessed last Friday's meeting, with the ridiculous attacks, if I may, Chair, on Baylis Medical, were shown to be nothing but a smear campaign. And the opposition have made a number of public comments about your company in turn. Would you like to respond to the attacks made upon you and the effects that they have had?
Yes, thank you. So I understand how politics works as an outsider, and I understand that it can be a tough business, and I understand that you may have disagreements among or between yourselves and the parties. You know, as members of public office, I think you've signed up for that, and you've taken on a public role. And so if you don't like something the other party's doing, I understand the need to call each other out at times. I think you should be civil, but I understand how that works. We are tangentially connected to this matter. As I mentioned in my statement, we don't have any knowledge of this, the student service grant. You know, we have nothing to do with that. So, you know, it was very surprising to receive a letter a week after we received a call from the clerk of this committee telling us not to submit documents, to receive a letter from a member of the committee on House of Commons letterhead asking us to, quote, do the right thing and release all the documents. We hired retained counsel who's an expert in privacy law because we realized from the beginning that this was probably a complex matter and we probably should make sure we proceed properly at all times. So I sent that letter to our counsel, and she was actually quite upset by the letter. She said that it was an illegal request, that if we complied with the request, we would be breaking Canadian law. We would be violating our clients' privacy rights. So I was surprised that a member of this committee would ask us to do that, to contravene Canadian law. But what was more surprising was that the letter, I received the letter, it was the morning of August 27th, and at the same time I received it, I also received a letter from a journalist, a reporter from the Canadian Press, attaching a copy of the letter, asking for my comment. So I was actually confused and baffled how a reporter has a letter that was sent to me that I haven't even had a chance to read yet. And, you know, we don't have time to get into it, but, you know, a series of events that happened after that put us in a really difficult situation, something that I've never experienced before. And, you know, as a leader of a small company, I feel that, you know, my first obligation is to ensure the physical, emotional, and mental health, safety, and well-being of our employees. And for the first time in my 25-year career, I was in a situation where I didn't feel that I could properly protect everyone from what was going on. We had to get the police involved. It was a really nasty situation.
Sorry, Mr. Perlmutter, did you feel that you were being intimidated by a member of parliament?
I definitely felt like we were being intimidated. Yes.
Thank you.
It was frankly quite shocking, to be completely honest. If the letter was sent to us privately, we could have responded privately, and that should have been the end of it. And we could have given our response, which was that we were prohibited by law from doing what was asked of us. But because it was thrust into the public sphere, we didn't have that opportunity to respond. And so we've been dealing with the ramifications of that for the past 3 months now.
Thank you very much, Mr. Perlmutter. That's all the time we have. We're a little over time. I wanted you to finish your answer to that. We now move to the Bloc québécois. Madame Goudreau pour 6 minutes.
Bonjour à vous. Merci.
Hello, and thank you for your precious time. I would first like to do a little bit of a retrospective with respect to what we're going through right now. You need to understand the situation we as parliamentarians are going through. Yes, the pandemic is a huge issue, but the taxpayers' money is very precious. So our obligation, and I know to what extent you have gone through things, and it makes me very uncomfortable because we have also gone through the same thing. So you must know what happens to taxpayers' money, and that's why we're having this meeting today. And you should be very proud to be able to have your voice heard so that you can demystify everything. So I have a few questions. First of all, following the consultation of the document, my question is to Mr. Perlmutter. I would like to know up until what point were you affected with respect to the contracted with Madame Grégoire and Mr. Trudeau, because from 2014 until today, I would like to hear what you were involved with.
Sorry, so in terms of our working relationship with Justin Trudeau and Sophie Grégoire Trudeau, that's just want to make sure I understand. So that the last time we worked with either of them, I think, was 2013. So we did 2 speaking engagements with Justin Trudeau in 2012 when he decided to run for the leadership of the Liberal Party. That's when he decided to stop doing any speaking engagements. So that was the last time we dealt with him. And we did a couple of events in 2013, I believe, with Sophie Grégoire Trudeau. And since that time, we've had no dealings with them.
Est-ce que vous faites des mandats?
Do you create a mandate when there is no fee for the person that you're dealing with? For example, if there are occasions where there are conferences where there are no fees paid, does that happen?
It rarely happens when we're involved because we don't charge like a retainer fee for our clients. We earn a commission on the fees for the speakers that we book. So we once in a while do get involved in a sort of pro bono situation to help out a client, but for the most part, it's only paid speaking engagements that we're involved in.
Merci. Et comment vous...
Thank you. And how do you determine the amounts of the fees paid for speakers and who with the speakers that you deal with?
Yeah, so I mean, the market really determines the fees. So we try to best understand what the market is, what individuals we work with, where they fit into that marketplace, and then we test it out when we're working with someone new by setting a fee. If we can't seem to get any momentum going, it may be a fee issue. We might set the fee too high. We tend to try to go below the market value at the beginning, try to build some momentum, and then work from there. Assuming that the feedback is good. So it's really the market that determines the fee. Yeah.
Thank you. That's great. So since 2013, you had no further involvement with Mr. Trudeau, and you know, as we do, that Madame Grégoire was in London working. So were you aware of that?
That she was in London. Sorry, when was that?
C'était en fait en février ou en mars.
It was in February or March last.
De l'autre année.
I'm not sure what there was an event, we event, I believe, just before the pandemic hit, but we were not involved. Speaker Spotlight was not involved with.
Okay, parfait.
Okay, fine. I have a question now for Madame Benoit and also for Mr. Daesh. On the 15th of May, you said there was an employee, a We Charity employee who contacted you through LinkedIn. Who was that, if you remember? Madame Liane Komish, who gave us a message through LinkedIn. Question. I would like to hear, because the information that we received, there was an article in the press on the 6th of August, and they said that your office spoke to federal, to get a list, spoke with MPs in Quebec. Is that correct? What was written in the press? Yes, we did communicate with MPs' offices, and it was to ensure that they would be able to put out information with respect to the programs for students. So we got into contact with different organizations, and sometimes there were students may come to MPs and ask for information. So what we were hoping was that they themselves would be able to pass on the information, so the organizations that are in their writing would be able to be aware of the existence of the program, and it was a program that had already been announced at that point in time.
Merci beaucoup.
Thank you very much.
Now on to Mr. Angus for 6 minutes.
Well, thank you very much. I really appreciate both organizations coming. And as part of our committee, I want to make it clear that there's no, your presence here does not mean that you are involved in having done anything wrong. This has been a very complex issue. There's a lot of questions, and so my interest is to get clarification on details from you. So when I ask you questions, I don't want you to feel that we're judging you or believing you did something wrong. We need to get some answers here to clarify this. So Mr. Perlmutter, thank you for supplying those documents, and they end in 2013. So that was the end of your working relationship with Madame Gregoire Trudeau at that point, because she did a number of other WE events. She wasn't involved in your organization after 2013?
That's right. We were not involved in any events with her after 2013.
Thank you for that. Now, I think part of what made this question so such an incendiary issue in the media was that when the issue first came up, it was stated by we, I believe, and certainly the Prime Minister's office, that his family were not paid at all, which I find very surprising that was said. And Madame Douglas, who was the chair of the board, specifically asked if any payments were made to members of the Trudeau family, and were told by the Kielburgers that no payments were made, which I also find is extraordinary, because it then came out in the media that upwards over $300,000 have been paid to Margaret Trudeau and Sasha Trudeau. When that news broke, were you surprised that people had been saying they were not being paid when you would have been negotiating fees for them to get paid?
You know, I wasn't sure what to think of it. There's different entities, as you know, it's a complex structure. So these speaking engagements were paid not through the charity, but through, I think, Midowee Social Enterprises, if I have the name correct. So my understanding was that they were saying that the charity didn't pay the speakers, but it was a different entity. It was a social enterprise. But that was my understanding of that.
But the charity did make at least one payment, correct?
There may have been one. I don't recall off the top of my head, but I think there may have been one.
Who was the point person you dealt with that week for arranging Margaret Trudeau and Sasha Trudeau's events?
So Mark Kielburger was the person that I dealt with initially, and then logistics were coordinated by someone on our team and someone on their team.
Okay, thank you very much. That's very helpful. I'm interested because when we had the Kielburgers at committee and we asked them why they said nobody was paid, or also why we found out they were being paid when all the other speakers were supposed to be volunteers for the way we worked, they said that Margaret and Sasha weren't paid to public speak, even though Margaret's very well known as a mental health speaker. She was paid for the ancillary events afterwards. So was that written into the contracts, these after events?
Yeah, so the agreements for those engagements were quite involved. There was a number of events. So normally when a speaker does an event, they speak and there might be a reception or a meet and greet, and that's sort of it. Usually the commitment's a couple of hours. Right. These events had numerous receptions, dinners, meet and greets, and so forth. So everything was included and detailed in the agreement, and it was a requirement that the individual would participate in all of those events.
Yeah. No, I actually I have some copies of some of WE's ancillary event planning, and it is very complex because this is where they were really trying to work the corporate angles. So that would have been worked out as part of their. They would come, they would speak, and then there would be these obligations to work the corporate event, and that would have been laid out in the contracts then.
Right. Usually they came in, I think, the night before, the day before, because I think there was usually a dinner the day before the event or the night before the event, and then a number of things happening the day of the event.
Okay, thank you very much for that. I have a question for National PR. To clarify, I was a little confused this morning. I believe that you said that you were hired by WE for communications and media in Quebec. Is that your only obligation? You weren't there to actually try and build their grassroots organization in Quebec?
Vous l'avez bien précisé.
Answer to be clear. Yes, it was to communicate information about the existence of the program with nonprofits as well as with students. So it was a communications mandate, essentially.
Because I find that's very surprising because Madame Alwade from WE was asked specifically about this issue, I think by one of the Liberals on August 13th at the Finance Committee. And she said national PR was hired to assist us in the process to reach out to Francophone and Quebec organizations, especially in the area of engagement for not-profit organizations. Is that not true?
Yes, this is what we started to do on the 25th of May.
You were engaged in working with them to find the nonprofit organizations. So it wasn't just communications, you were actually finding the nonprofit organizations, as Ms. Alwadi had stated at Finance.
The objective was to pass out information. It was to inform the most organizations. So yes, we did have to identify the organizations that could be situated in both rural and urban areas. And during our mandate, we had to be able to identify them, to be able to come into communications with them to ensure that they would be able to be aware of the existence of the program.
In fact, we're over, but I wanted the witness to be able to complete their answer for you, Mr. Angus. We're going to the second round now, and the second round is only 5 minutes. Monsieur Gord pour 5 minutes.
Merci, Monsieur le Président.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much to the witnesses for being here this morning to be able to bring light on this question. The first question is for you, Mr. Daresh. I'm very pleased to hear that you said that there weren't any financial losses between the 22nd and the 25th of May. You were able to establish the mandate and the contract. Was it an hourly fee or was it just a global mandate? It was a normal contract. We were paid for the hours that our professionals would be working. So this was an hourly contract. Well, I was very pleased that you were paid because the Canadian taxpayers paid the WE charity. So if you hadn't been paid, that would be even worse. So would it be possible for you to provide the contract that you signed with the WE charity either later today or later in the week? Yes, I will be very pleased to answer your questions with respect to the mandate. However, if you're asking to share our service offering, this is not a document that I can volunteer to share with you, and I can explain why. This is a contract between two organizations that are private organizations and that have information that are of a commercial nature, which is very sensitive information for us, for a company as ours. It has to, our competitivity is in question, and also we have to work with all of our comments. So if you have questions with respect to the nature of our mandate, I will be able to answer, but to be able to share our service offering, to share our sensitive commercial information, I think that would be very, we have people, clients are all across the country, and that's not something I can do. Question. It could also be done in camera, so we'll come back to that later. I received your communications for the promotion of the program, but I was surprised. Even if this program was announced, it was a shock to us. So did you get the information even before the opposition parties received any information so that you could go ahead and do the promotion of the program as such? Answer. To put things into context, we started to put out information to the riding offices at the end of the month of June. And so the program, people were well aware of it. The public was aware of it because there had been a press conference on that subject in June. And question, yes, there was a program announced at the press conferences, but the program comes out later. So all of the programs that we saw this year, there was 4 to 5 weeks between the announcement that was out, that came out, and the deployment of the program. So this was a great surprise for me to know that you were working with We Charity, that you were working on this program. And so the fact that you were doing promotion with MPs in the riding, is that not lobbying? Answer. No, what we were hoping was to be able to communicate with the maximum number of students and nonprofits. So contacts were done to different ridings. It was with the objective that you'd be able to pass on this information about the service grant program, both to the public, to students, and to nonprofits. It wasn't lobbying. Question. Well, yes, when there's a communications business such as yours, when you send an email to an MP, we're always skeptical, and we have to be careful because there is a lobbying act, and so there may be lobbying on other issues. So when we do receive communications from National to promote something, it's a request from National to be working with MPs, so it makes us a little bit uncomfortable. So maybe you could explain maybe more clearly to the MPs how you work to come into communication with us, because I myself, I was very surprised. Answer. Communications that were done with respect to elected officials, I think things were very clear in our communications that it was always in the object of being able to pass on the information. And you're making you're questioning and lobbying. Well, sometimes there may be people that are. I'm sorry, I don't have much time. I have a last question. They'd have to be registered as a lobbyist to do so.
We'll now move on to Mr. Fergus for 5 minutes.
Merci beaucoup, Monsieur le Président. Puis j'aimerais remercier.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. And I would like to thank the witnesses who have come before us today. I'm a little bit disappointed, Mr. Chair, that 3 times the official opposition have had an opportunity to present their apologies for hurting the reputation of these 2 companies, for dragging them through the mud, and because we do benefit from legal protection. Point of order, Mr. Chair. Mr. Chairman, my colleague is putting out is telling me that saying things I did not say. I did not drag them through the mud. I said they were a communications company that I respected, and I certainly did not want to my colleague to say such things. I'd like to request that he that he withdraw. Well, I am not. I would like to I'm speaking rather about a colleague who has said things, and I think that he said, when I'm not attributing to you, however, he said with respect to Mr. Promoter, he said
have been destroyed, ce qui donne l'inférence.
Legal documents have destroyed, and which means that the people from that company did not want to satisfy the request of the committee. And so my question will be to Mr. Perlmutter first.
Do you first of all, let me just ask you this quick question: how many you said you have 27 employees?
That's right.
And before this, before the tweets and the attacks in the media this summer, have your employees ever faced any opprobrium or threats in the course of the duties of their work?
No, nothing like this. No.
Nothing like this. Since Mr. Barrett had taken those actions, could you tell us what effect this had on you, your family, and your employees?
Sorry, it's cutting out a bit, but I think you're asking me about the effect
that has had on you and your family and your employees. I'll repeat.
On us, our family. Well, my wife was actually, sorry, it's a little bit difficult to talk about it. My wife was in fear of her own personal safety for a while. She didn't want to leave the house. When people are coming at you, one of the individuals somehow found her personal cell phone number, posted it on some Facebook group with a photo of her, calling her disgusting and derogatory things. And so her phone started ringing day and night with all kinds of people calling. It was really unsettling. So that personally, that affected obviously her greatly and me as well. Some of my staff let me know that they were concerned about their own safety, and many of our staff are young women in their 20s and 30s. So to have someone coming after them, we actually tried to preempt some of it when we found out who the individual was, blocked them. I had to reach out to our staff, let them know to block this individual from social media before he started coming after them on social media. So it's just, it's something that never thought that we would have to deal with. We're not in a controversial type of business. We're in a business of sharing ideas, sharing hope, sharing inspiration. We've never had anything like this. And it was something that, frankly, we weren't quite prepared for.
Well, again, Mr. Perlmutter, as Ms. Shanahan said, I am terribly sorry that you, your family, your employees had to face this. I would hope that the members of the official opposition will profit from the time that they have here to also present their apologies to you directly. Sir,
thank you.
I know that going to court is a long and costly process, especially when you know that MPs enjoy certain immunity for what they say in the House and by extension what they say at committee. But have you ever considered filing suit against some members for the untrue statements that they've made about you or your company on social media that is not protected by parliamentary privilege?
We've been very busy just managing our business, trying to get through the pandemic and so forth. But certainly it's crossed my mind, and when I have a moment to breathe and things slow down a bit towards the holidays, probably reach out. I mean, I should say I'm not a litigious person. I've never brought a suit against anyone. I would not want to do that. But if there was ever a situation where I would consider it, this would be one, because it's just been it's been really disappointing that this would be brought on at all, and in particular the circumstances and how it came about. It just was unnecessary. Something that Mr. Angus mentioned earlier about getting answers. I believe in this process. I believe in this committee. That's why we're here. That's why we've cooperated through the whole process. And so that's why it's doubly disturbing, because if the committee, the work was done here at the committee, I would have no issue answering questions, providing information, documentation that was requested. So that's the disappointment, that it was taken outside of the committee, thrown into the public sphere, I guess, and we were just sort of held out to dry. And we're not a big company. We can't hire a communications firm like National Public Relations or someone like that. We're dealing with this on our own, and it's not fun when the first thing you do when you wake up in the morning is check to see what kind of nonsense is on social media, what people are saying or doing.
Okay. That's all the time that we have. I gave an extra minute there because I felt that Mr. Promoter deserved to be able to be heard. But we're over
Thank you,
time.
Chairman.
Colleagues, we're going to go to the next round, which is that kind of flash round of 2.5 minutes each. But before I do, Mr. Dresch, you're directed by a member of the committee to deliver some documents, and so I want you to know that that's an obligation that you have. They'll be treated with respect, and no business secrets will be released from the committee. But just as Mr. Perlmutter had to produce documents, then we'd ask you to produce the contract. And I'd also like to ask you as well. You've mentioned several times a May date that you're engaged with We Charity. Do you have other partners there in your firm that work with We Charity?
No.
Okay, so J.P. Vasseur was not involved in the management of this contract or another contract with We Charity?
Mr. Chair, you were cut off. Mr. Chair, could you please ask your question again? Yes, there were other partners.
I just want to make sure that you've heard everything I've said. You have on record the demand for the documents that Mr. Gord said that you'll need to produce to the committee in regards to the agreement with We Charity. And then I started with a question about whether there was another partner in your organization who had any dealings with We Charity in a separate contract prior to May.
La réponse est non, monsieur.
The answer is no.
Okay. And would you also, upon my request, would you also, along with the contract, make sure that you also submit to the committee any emails that in regards to your communications with we and the federal government in this case? Colleagues, and
Monsieur le Président.
Mr. Chair.
Excusez-moi, Monsieur le Président, c'est parce que ça...
I'm sorry. It's just that it cuts off. I'm not sure exactly why, but we will, yes, we'll respond to your request and send in the documents.
Thank you very much. Now we'll go to this 2.5 minute round. Madame Goudreau for 2.5 minutes.
Oui, je vous remercie.
Yes, thank you very much. I would like to come back on what we're looking to get. We're the Ethics Committee, so we need to ensure that we look at any possibility of a conflict of interest, and what we're looking at right now, it does some damage. I'm a new MP, and I've learned a lot about my duty to disclose, but I've also learned that sometimes there may be mistakes made, and as business people, I would like to ask of you the question: when you know that there were mistakes made by a government and who for a third time may have some things that lack precision, does that give you a sign, as I said, that you need to be whiter than snow? And I'm going to ask the question of Mr. Perlmutter and Mr. Dresch also, that there was no, they said there was no contribution to the Liberal Party. But did it concern you, knowing that in the public opinion, there have always been 2 times when it was brought to light that there were mistakes made?
Qui veut répondre?
Who would like to answer?
Je peux répondre, Madame.
I can answer. there was a decision on the 22nd of May, as I said, there was a cabinet decision. So once the government makes a decision of that importance with the whole process that needs to need to go for, we had confidence that this was a legitimate project. So that was sufficient for us. Question. Mr. Perlmutter said earlier that he was totally neutral politically, but we need to hear you. It's important to note when we look on the site, you have a lot of political experience at all levels of government. So I would imagine that you are very vigilant and that you can demonstrate to what extent you are completely neutral. So what have you done to prove that?
Action with anyone in government. So I'm not 100% sure I understand the question, but we've never used any political contacts to secure agreements. We just.
Vous nous avez démontré, Monsieur Perron.
You've showed us, Mr. Perlmutter, but my question was to Mr. Daresh, who has a vast political experience.
For quite a bit there on that one. I know 2.5 minutes flies past very fast. Mr. Angus for 2.5 minutes.
The Kielburgers, when they were pitching this, claimed a lot of partnerships. Volunteer Canada, they said, was on board. Volunteer Canada walked away. Imagine Canada, they walked away. YMCA, they didn't get involved. They claimed to the Treasury Board, we, charity, quote, have a significant presence in Quebec. And yet, Mr. Daresh, they hired a PR firm in which they said your job was to reach out to the Francophone and Quebec organizations in the area of nonprofit organizations. And yet, only 4% of the people who signed up, young people, were from Quebec. I would think that would be registered as quite the dismal failure of outreach in Quebec. So what happened? They said they had significant presence in Quebec. They said that you could get them organizations on the ground. Why only 4% of youth in Quebec were from Quebec?
Answer. You're talking about the efficiency of the program, and this is something I can only partially answer. You have to ask the government representatives because you have to put things into context. We're able to make contacts for several weeks and just several weeks. So this was a huge deployment effort, and so in the month of June we were mandated to inform organizations and students, and that lasted for only several weeks, less than a month. So for us, our involvement was limited to just that. And so we did go ahead with activities to be able to contact people, but this was for a very short duration. And as you know, the management of the program went back to the federal government on the 3rd of July.
Thank you for that. I'm running out of time here, so I'll just move on. But students applied from across Canada, but only 4% from Quebec. Mr. Perlmutter, I want to apologize that you were and your staff were abused like that. We live in a very toxic climate. I certainly have been abused relentlessly on Twitter and Facebook for my work on this file. I hope some of my abusers and trolls aren't the same who went after you. Some of them are pretty ugly. And I want to apologize. I don't think that that's what should have happened. I appreciate the fact that you've come here and that you've given us clear answers, and that's what we've asked of you, and you've delivered. So thank you for that.
Thank you, sir.
So, colleagues, unless there's an objection, got names down for one more round, and we have time. So unless there's an objection, I'll go ahead and give those two. There's actually 3 members. 2 are going to split, and then so 1 conservative, 1 liberal to go ahead. Any objection? Okay, we're going to go to Monsieur Berthold for 5 minutes.
Merci beaucoup, Monsieur.
Thank you very much, Mr. Chair. I would like to come back to the period between the 15th and the 22nd 22nd of May. Is this a regular thing in your industry, in your business, to have such an important contact for such a huge mandate that would come through via LinkedIn? Answer. Our clients come into contact with us in different ways, and recently we've had a lot of contacts through our social media and our website, LinkedIn. We don't get contacted often, but it does happen. Question. It is surprising because of the size of this. This is $1 billion program, so it's really surprising to me. When you were contacted, you felt that there was urgency, that you needed to have something ready for the 22nd of May. And so what exactly was the first contact? Did we say we're looking for something from you by the 22nd of May to be able to present to Cabinet? Answer, absolutely not. There was no emergency with respect to any particular date. There was a need to explain the role that the We Charity would be playing in this grant program, and if it were to be approved by the Cabinet. And for us, it was a matter of explaining how we could give our support so that they would be able to communicate the program about the grant. So that's what we were, how we were involved. Question. Did you have any signed agreements that went ahead with the We Charity before between the 15th and the 22nd of May? We had exchanges to be able to prepare a service offering, and it was at the end of the month of May that the mandate was confirmed. So the mandate was confirmed, and the work started at the end of the month of May. So that would be after the Cabinet decision. Question. You know that what I'm trying to find within this contract, there was an important breach, and that is that it was not submitted for linguistic analysis, which is something that is required. So within the exchanges that happened, the We Charity realized that they were not able to offer service to the Francophone sector for Francophones across Canada, so they thought that they needed help quite quickly. And so you as a communications company, you picked, you responded to them. So how can an organization with such an important mandate, how can they not go ahead with the linguistic analysis which is required by Treasury Board? And so with respect to the mandate that was requested of you, can you give us your idea? It's not a question of knowing any commercial, any trade secret. We simply want to be able to know how a contract of such a size would be able to miss such an important stage. And Mr. Daresh, you mentioned, and I think this is the advantage of national. You were saying that it was following the press conference that you started having communications with MPs. But I think that at 6 in the morning, we were getting requests from national, and this was before the press conference. This is a detail, but I think because we're dealing with ethics, I think it's important to be precise and put things into context. So how, at that point, did you find out that your contract was terminated? What were the communications that allowed you to understand that you were no longer needed? Answer. Well, it was our client that notified us that the management of the program went into the hands of the government. And so it was as easy as that we no longer need to continue our work in communicating with students or with nonprofits. So that was done like that. Thank you very much. So answer. A question, rather. The government didn't contact you then for anything further? No. Well, thank you very much, Mr. Chair. I will leave my last minute to Mr. Gould, my colleague, if he
pretty much all we have for that round. Madam Shanahan for 5 minutes.
Thank you very much, Chair. Et j'aimerais juste commencer.
I would just like a point of clarification. A request for documents here during our meeting. This is not the same thing as a motion where you have to produce documents. So it is clear that we do appreciate it when witnesses are able to provide additional information following our questions, but I think it's important to make that clarification.
I had to interrupt someone. To be clear, as the chair, I've demanded the documents. They are subpoenaed to the committee or have the force of that level. And so those documents in which I've been clear as far as national are concerned have been officially requested, and it's not anything that's voluntary. Go ahead with your time.
All right. Well, that's news to me that the chair can subpoena unilaterally. But to continue with my questions, donc j'aimerais donner l'opportunité.
I would like to give the opportunity to Mr. Dahache and Madame Benoit to speak to the lobbying issue as to whether your employees do participate in any lobbying and if they follow the lobbying commissioner's rules. Mr. Daesh. Absolutely. Answer. Well, yes, the answer is yes. The professionals that work in our company know the rules well, and every time they do have contact with a public office holder or with an elected official or a government representative, they will always note that they will be registering with the lobbyist as a lobbyist. Question before continuing.
Understand what the authorities were that you have to subpoena unilaterally documents. So if you could give us the proceedings, the reference to the proceedings. Otherwise, I'm sorry, I'm going to have to challenge that.
No, that's
that
okay.
ruling.
That's okay, Madam Shanahan. There is one little how would I say legality that we have to clear up in regards to Mr. Gord had requested the documents, and I had taken that as a motion, and then had asked Mr. Derish for that, but I will ask Mr. Gourd for the official language of a motion in order to do that, but there was a request from one of the members of the committee, and so if Mr. Gourd wants to mention that level of document request and move that motion, then that's what we need to have those documents summoned.
All right, but I still have the chair. I still have the floor.
Yeah,
Yes.
you had asked me about that, and
A point of order.
Yes, Mr. Angus.
Yeah, I wasn't aware that when we ask for documents, it has to be voted on motion. We have asked for documents at committee before. If the committee requests it, we get documents. I don't believe we actually have to go to a voted motion.
No, but a member has to make a motion for the documents. We'll just suspend for a second to make sure that everything is done in the most. clear in regards to Madam Shanahan's concern, Mr. Angus's concern, and my direction to the witness. Generally speaking, most of our requests are voluntary, and the folks.
Point d'ordre, Monsieur le Président.
A point of order. I don't have the translation. I'm sorry.
Pardon, Madame Goudreau.
I'm sorry, Madame Goudreau.
Okay.
Mr. Chair, Madam Goudreau said that she didn't have translation.
Oh, okay. Thank you very much. So generally, colleagues, when we request documents, there's no objection, and or anything else. Even when we request witnesses, but when we desire documents or desire witnesses, and someone has indicated that they don't want to comply, then as Madam Shanahan mentioned, it requires a motion. And we'll deal with that after Madam Shanahan's time. So that's the differentiation, Mr. Angus, in regards to, requiring a motion. So, Madam Shanahan, you have 2 more minutes. Please continue.
Thank you, Chair. So I'd like to return now to Mr. Perlmutter. And indeed, I am, as I'm the last MP to be speaking here before the panel, I am extremely disappointed and shocked, but maybe not surprised, that Mr. Barrett was present here and that he did not use his time to offer a complete apology for his actions. Mr. Perlmutter, would you expect and accept an apology from Mr. Barrett?
I don't know if I would expect one, but I would accept one, yes.
Thank you very much. And pour les gens de National.
For people from National, with the work that you've been doing here, you have a lot of experience with parliamentarians from all political parties. Would you like to request apologies also from anyone here at the committee? I asked the question. I would like to give the opportunity to people from National, with respect to all the publicity that occurred because of We Charity and the work with them, if that may have affected their business, and if they would like to hear apologies. Because, Mr. Chair, I am very concerned, disturbed by the tax on businesses that are operating perfectly properly.
Well, too.
Madame la députée, je vous remercie. Le comité nous a donné.
Our committee has cleared the nature of what is being done, so we want to be able to tell you exactly what the type of work we do is, and we do not expect any apologies necessarily from any MP.
Thank you very much, colleagues. Now to clear up the legalities of the request that I made, Mr. Gord, you had mentioned about the documents, and so now you'll need to move a motion in that regard.
Oui, Monsieur le Président, j'aimerais présenter.
Yes, Mr. Chair, I would like to present a motion. I would like to move a motion that the committee request the contract and the mandate of the National, and the documents be submitted to the committee, and that the committee look at those documents in camera.
In respect to documents, Mr. Gord, just to be clear, we're talking about any contracts with we, and are you talking about communications as well?
Non, je parle du mandat. Il y a le compte.
No, I'm talking about the mandate. There's the contract and the mandate. Those are two distinct things, and normally the mandate would be annexed in annex with the contract. And if they could send that by Friday, if possible.
There's a motion for that, colleagues. Is there any objection? Okay, Madam Shanahan.
Chair, yes, I really regret that that this motion has come to the floor in this way. I think that we were just trying to clarify that at any time MPs can request additional information and documents from witnesses, and I really don't see the necessity for this motion at this time, I think that the whole issue around the confidential information, personal information, business information as well, is one that needs to be discussed further, and so. I would suggest that the member come back with a motion that he's had time to put together, that is clearer, and I think that's something that we would be prepared to look at. But we're already 30 minutes past this meeting. You had called for an in-camera committee meeting. I don't see the necessity for this motion at this time.
Mr. Dong.
Yeah, my points are along the same line. I was thinking, so first of all, I was a bit confused by that order by the chair. Sounded like we're subpoenaing a document that was refused to provide it by one of the witness, but I didn't hear a clear no, or I don't even know if the witness was given a chance to kind of think over the request and see what they're obligated to do or what they're not obligated to do. I don't think that it's fair to the witness that to make that determination without even knowing the power of this committee. So I would suggest, if I may, that the clerk make a official request for document to the witness and give a chance for the witness to respond after understanding the request. And then if the answer is no, and we can have a motion or consider an official motion on whether or not we would subpoena that piece of document. I think that's sort of a better way to go for it, but I'm suggesting this as a permanent member of this committee. Thank you, Chair.
Very much, Mr. Angus.
Yeah, Mr. Chair, I would normally take my Liberal colleagues' thoughts and really reflect on them, but I've seen nothing but obstruction from them since the get-go. Every time something comes forward, they find ways of obstructing, trying to stop it, slow it down. It was a fairly straightforward request. These requests are made all the time at our committee. My understanding was the witness was ready to present those documents, so I don't think we need to have the Liberals jumping in front and trying to stop us from seeing this. We will see it in camera. This is about government spending. It's a pretty straightforward request, and you've asked the witness, and my understanding was the witness agreed, so I think we should move on.
Point of clarification, Mr. Chair.
Go ahead, Madam Latanzio.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. In understanding the motion that was put forward by the opposite member, are we to understand that if there's confidential information that is included in those contracts, witnesses must abide by the motion, or how do we treat a contract or documents that would contain confidential information? That would be my question for my opposite member. Thank you.
Yeah, of course, the committee treats all inbound documents with the greatest of care. Any trade secrets would be protected, and as Mr. Angus said, they would be viewed in camera in the clerk's office. So now we'll go on to Mr. Fergus. Mr. Fergus, and then Madam Goodrow, because I know Madam Goodrow has indicated she'd like to speak.
I have nothing further to add that wasn't already added by my colleagues, Mr. Chair.
Okay. Madam Goodrow.
Oui,
Yes, I would like to mention that I participated in all of the meetings before prorogation, and it is quite right. The objective is to bring light on things, and particularly when we don't have the necessary knowledge. So what I can see is that this is time that we will be missing to be able to complete what we need to do, because we will already, maybe over the next few minutes, we'll be able to get this contract, and we'll be able to finish our work before the end of the year. So I would like to invite my colleagues to understand that there is legitimate reason to make this request and to treat it as we have done with all documents, whether it was Speaker Spotlight. So I don't see why we should drag things out, but I think we need to move forward while we give great respect to each and every one of us. Thank you.
Goudreau, Mr. Sorbera.
Oh, thank you, Chair. And just, well, first, this is the first time I've spoken in this meeting, but quite an interesting meeting. And to the witness, Mr. Perlmutter, again, I join my colleagues in apologizing in terms of what you and your family have had to endure these past few months. It's quite unfortunate, the environment sometimes via social media and what individuals may or may not say the indirect consequences and the direct consequences. I think we need to think about as individuals across society. So I do wish to apologize as a member of parliament, but as someone that also has a family at home, I can only imagine what you and your loved ones were going through during that time. Just in terms of to the chair, can we get some sort of a text of this motion? I've heard it's stated about, but if we can get some sort of text or anything, that would be great. And I'll just stop right there.
Yeah, I think Mr. Good, do you want to take a moment and type up your motion?
Oui, Monsieur le Président.
And send it over to...
Yes, I can do that. Thank you.
We'll suspend, yeah. Excuse the witnesses, and then we're going to suspend again until we get all the clear on the language. But I wanted to say to Mr. Derish, Madam Benoit, and Mr. Perlmutter, on behalf of the committee, we want to give you our sincere apology for any of the unintended consequences that came from any actions of the committee members in regards to the obligations of our office here at the committee. And I'm certain that all committee members feel that way. And I also want to thank you for the time that you invested today in order to answer questions. We will excuse you now, and we'll continue our debate without having to take up any more of your time.
Point of order, Chair. Point of order.
Yes, Mr. Dong?
Yeah, before the witness leaves, honestly, I'm very confused by this motion that we're going to vote on, because I'm not sure if the witness said a clear no and refused to turn over those documents, which makes the motion necessary. Because I don't see it necessary if the witness is willing to offer these documents, and I'm just a little confused. So I just want to, through you, to clarify with the witness that if they're okay or not okay to turn over or to respond to Mr. Gerd's request.
Very good point, Mr. Dong. And before Mr. Derish leaves, then we'll ask him if he's okay to voluntarily comply with the request.
Monsieur le Président, nous on va attendre.
We're going to wait for the motion, because I indicated earlier the work that the MP was referring to has a sensitive information, commercial information. So if you need to give us a motion, and we'll take a look at that.
Thank you very much. Then the witnesses can be excused, and again, go with our thanks and our apologies for any unintended consequences, and we'll suspend again. Back in session.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I have read the motion that has been moved, and this is exactly what was said by Mr. Gould. And so considering where we're at and all of the time that we have had thus far, I think we are ready to vote now. At least I am. Thank you.
Mr. Angus.
Thank you. I appreciate this motion because I was very confused this morning when I was trying to get an answer. And it's, again, nothing against National PR. I just want to get clarification because they said that their job was communications and media, which is very, very different than doing actually outreach and building the organizations in Quebec. And yet, at August 13th meeting of Finance, they said National PR was hired to assist us in the process to reach out to the Francophone and Quebec organizations, especially in the area of engagement for not-for-profit organizations. So that seems that they had a very specific mandate of doing the outreach, but when we were told they were there for communications and media, which makes sense because they're a media company, I think there's a gap there that I'd like explained. And I understand that they were only involved for a month, but when only 4% of the young people who signed up were from Quebec, something went wrong. I don't think that this is probably something that went wrong on National PR's end, but I'd like to just know what were they mandated for, because we have to understand why in the space of a month, 96% of the people who signed up came from other parts of Canada and only 4% came from Quebec.
Madam Shanahan?
Yeah, Chair, I'm just wondering, because you had made it clear earlier that any documents that would be submitted to us would be treated with the same care and confidentiality and so on. And so I guess I am suggesting a friendly amendment regarding the same type of in-camera consultation of the documents that we had for the Speaker Spotlight documents. That is it staff, would staff be permitted to see them? I would say that members only, as we had before. Will electronic devices be banned? And so on. So, again, this seems to be like a rush job. We're having trouble between the English and the French. What are any communications? What does that mean? What is what kind of documents are we talking about in that case? So I feel that this is kind of rush. In another way, I certainly don't want to stand in the way of the committee receiving any documents that we would want to have for our consultation. So I guess I'm looking for some further discussion with colleagues on this issue before we vote. Yeah, just from the chair, is that what you were intending, or is this that the documents would be consulted in camera?
I think generally. So we had a specific motion around Mr. Parliamenter's documents that listed out a bunch of things. Generally, when we request documents, any trade secrets we would guard exactly the same as we did with Mr. Perlmutter's. And please correct me, clerk, if I'm not right. But anything that pertains to the management of the WE contract, obviously that's what members want to have access to, and as part of the evidence that they're concerned about, as Mr. Angus has just said. So I mean, that would be generally the way I would see them manage that. Any trade secrets that would harm the business, we would obviously treat them exactly as we treated the documents from Speaker Spotlight. But in regards to operations on this specific issue, then that would be part of our general evidence.
Okay, so does that need to be included in the motion?
No, that's. I mean, it's on record right now. That would be the way that we would manage it, and it would be. And I think in this case, because there are trade secrets, I think having only the members view it, I think would be acceptable, unless Mr. Gord has a problem with that, or some other member of the committee. But I'll go to Mr. Dong now, who's got his hand up, and then I've got Mr. Fergus after that, and Mr. Angus. Mr. Dong.
Thank you, Chair. And just to my colleague, Mr. Angus, I am not trying to obstructing the process. I'm just purely trying to get some clarification, because it seems to me that every time I raise my hand and speak, that's the label that I get. I just similar questions that Madame Shanahan asked. But listening to your explanation, I get it. It's on record. Question is, who's going to make that judgment whether or not they're trade secret? Are we allowing the witness making that judgment that, for parts that it will be for MP's eyes only, and others are more sort of a general pile of evidence? I just want to make sure, because it's not covered in this motion, and also the date, the time frame as well. Are we? There is no specific time frame. Or I see that it has to do with reorganization. I just want to make sure of that. But there's no specific time frame. I'm okay with it. I'm just raising this to my colleagues if that needs to be considered. But judging from what the chair was saying, that we're giving that judgment power to the presenter or the witness to make a determination what documents falls under trade secrets, and which are for MP's eyes only, no electronic devices, same type parameter we set to protect those documents in our previous or larger motion. I just want to be clarified, just make sure of that. Thank you, Chair.
Mr. Fergus.
Mr. Chair, if just what you had said before Mr. Dong's comments, if that's a procedure, then I would feel very comfortable with that. I do believe that we should extend the same courtesy to National as we extended to Mr. Perlmutter and Speaker Spotlight. So if Mr. Dong's interpretation is correct of your comment, then I'm quite happy to go to a vote immediately.
One of the reasons we put all these parameters on the first set of documents was because we were told we shouldn't be dealing with the Trudeau family, and these were individuals. I think it's a different thing when we're dealing with a contract and a mandate about how a federal government contract was going to be spent. I'm very wary of saying, well, we can only see it without staff. It's something we should be able to discuss in camera and then decide if it belongs in our committee report. But if it has to do with the mandate of what they were given and what they were supposed to deliver, we have to be able to report whether they were asked to do this job and it didn't seem to have gotten done. So the issue of trade secrets, I think that would be very specific. Emails with names, we want to make sure that if they're people who are involved directly with we'd want to know. Who were the civil servants, we'd want to know. We can block out their email addresses. I think maybe it could be done if the clerk can do it, but I'm very wary of saying nobody else is allowed. We have to have this top secret agenda. That wasn't what was done with the finance documents. They were turned over to finance, and the government redacted many, but I think we have to have a reasonable approach to this, and I would say we look at it in camera and decide what is putting our respect for the privacy laws and the fact that as the privacy committee we have to respect those. I think I can trust my colleagues that we can agree to do this in a proper manner, but we have to be able to report on if there's something in that mandate that should have been dealt with or shouldn't have been dealt with. We have to be able to put that in the report.
Madam Shanahan.
Yes, Chair. I would like to suggest an amendment. I'd like to move an amendment that the words the federal government be removed and that by members only with no recording devices be present in the room be added after the words in camera.
Monsieur le Président.
Mr. Gord.
Mr. Chair? Well, it's going to delay things, but I'm against changing the motion. So if there are communications between the three organizations, I'd like to be aware of that. So I can understand that Madame Shanahan wants to protect the government, but I think it's important that we keep the original motion. Thank you, Mr. Chair.
A motion's been moved. Mr. Gord has just spoken to, I should say, an amendment to the motion. Any other comments on the amendment? Mr. Sorbera.
Chair.
Mr. Sorbera.
Are you calling? Oh, thank you, Chair.
Your hands up, yeah.
Yes. No, I'm going with the hand up in this civilized manner, right? Is that's from looking at it? I thank my colleague MP Shanahan for putting forward that amendment, and if it's the will of the committee, if we can vote on Ms. Shanahan's amendment.
Okay, Mr. Dong, did you want to speak?
Exactly what Mr. Savera said. I'm ready to vote.
Okay. Then is everybody clear on the nature of the amendment? Do we need to send? Yes? Okay. All right. So the clerk will take a recorded vote now on the amendment, Madam Shanahan's amendment to the motion.
Okay, recorded vote on the amendment of Ms. Shanahan. Mr. Dong?
I vote for the amendment.
Monsieur Fergus?
Je vote en faveur.
For.
I vote in favor.
Ms. Shanahan?
I vote in favor.
Mr. Sorbara?
Je vote pour.
Mr. Barrett?
Nay, against.
Monsieur Gould?
Je vote contre.
Mr. Nader?
I vote against the motion.
Madame Gaudreau?
Je vote contre.
Mr. Angus?
I vote against.
Four in favor, 5 contre, against 5.
I'll vote against the amendment with the status quo. Okay, we'll vote on the motion now.
All those in favor of the motion of Monsieur Gould, please say yay. All those opposed, please say nay when I call your name. Mr. Dong?
I vote yes.
Mr. Fergus? Monsieur Fergus?
Excusez-moi, Madame la greffière, je vote en faveur.
Ms. Latancio?
I vote against.
Ms. Shanahan? Mr. Sorbera? Mr. Sorbera?
Excuse me, I was on mute. Clerk, I'd just like to say I'm voting no on the motion due to the process involved in reaching where we got to this motion. I'm very troubled by the process
It's
here.
a vote, not a point of order.
Mr. Barrett?
Thank you, Charlie.
Yay, in favor.
Mr. Gould?
Je vote pour ma motion.
Mr. Nader?
I vote in favor.
Madame Gaudreau.
Je vote pour.
And Mr. Angus.
Yes, I vote for.
Four, pour, 7. Contre, against, 3.
Thank you, Madam Clerk. So, colleagues, I think to give you some assurance, and I like Mr. Angus's comment in regards to how we would shepherd these documents, is we will do them, and I'm just, again, I'm always careful to say things in case I put the clerk in an impossible situation, but my suggestion is that we have these documents in limited printing in a committee meeting that's in camera. We would look at the information and decide amongst ourselves what are trade secrets and what it pertains specifically to the operations of what we're studying in regards to the motion that was passed that we're hearing witnesses on. Is that clear, fair enough? And in that way, everybody has a say in it. Mr. Dong?
Chair, I just want to quickly make a comment. I understand that this is a very important committee, and it's a high-profile committee, especially on this case. But judging from the behaviors of the members on this committee in the last little while, I'm not so confident that unintended or intended consequences will take place that harm private business in this country. I made this comment in my previous debate, and I myself has been targeted for all kinds of negative comments, and I saw that Mr. Angus has been targeted as well. So, but that's fair again. Like, we're public officials, we're a member of this committee. That's all fair. But I just I have to raise this concern, and we heard today from the witness that there are a lot of harmful things are being said and done on this issue. Just going forward, can we keep that in mind to make sure that no further harm is done especially to our witnesses and innocent, well, I shouldn't say innocent, but I don't know. I just want to say I don't know, but I would like to give the benefit of the doubt to all witnesses that come forward to this committee, but not to put them in a very, even worse situation, given that's COVID that they're trying to survive. Thank you.
Okay. On that note, I have 3 people that are on the speakers list right now, Madam Latanzio, Mr. Fergus, and Mr. Angus. And we're getting into the weeds on the details of this, and I have a concern, because we're not in camera, that what you're actually saying, Mr. Dong, might happen as we're getting into the weeds in this. So if it's okay with we already have it set up that we can go in camera. So if it's okay with all of my colleagues here, we'll go in camera to discuss further the finer details of this, so that something doesn't happen to be said that does harm someone. Is that do I see consensus on that? Okay, so colleagues, I think you've all been emailed the new link as well as the new password for in camera. It'll probably take us 10 or 15 minutes, but we'll go through that transition now, and we'll deal with what we're discussing right now, as well as a couple of small things that I wanted to deal with in regards to upcoming witnesses and our schedule. Okay, so we'll suspend to go in camera.